The Joe Rogan Experience.
So tell me about the Queen Mary. That's the beginning for you guys.
That's the number one origin.
And you went there to do what?
So what was really interesting is we did a lot of the abandoned stuff, but every once in a while we would do like a haunted thing because those creepy stories and, you know, the lore of everything is really interesting, whether or not you believe in it or not. At that time, we didn't really believe in any of the ghost stuff. We're like, all right, but this is going to be a great video because everyone loves telling the stories. But we just got, I don't know what it was, but someone forwarded us something saying that for the first time in 30 years, the Queen Mary in Long Beach, which is like one of the most haunted ships, like New York Times, like top 10 most haunted places in the world.
We filmed Fear Factor there once.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Okay.
It's a beautiful ship.
They do a comedy show there sometimes.
No way.
Didn't know
Yeah,
that
for a
either.
while they had a regular comedy night there on the Queen Mary.
Yeah, I didn't realize how like famous it was, but they have that. They have like haunted houses. They have a ton of different attractions there. But there's this one room, B340, that hadn't been open for 30 years, and allegedly they closed it down because there's multiple unexplained murders and or suicides in that room. And we're like, whoa, like, you know, if this is the first week this is open after 30 years, this is going to be an amazing like story to tell or, you know, video to film. And so we went in there trying to make something or like trying to get something. We obviously didn't really believe in that much. So we were like, all right, let's just see if it happens. If there's going to be a haunted location, it will be this. We toured around, did the whole thing, weren't getting much. And we were kind of frustrated at that point because we're like, all right, this is supposed to be the cream of the crop. This is supposed to be the big wig. Like, why can't we get something to happen? And so it was 4 o'clock in the morning at this time. We've been trying for hours of just sitting in circles, like asking out.
And we didn't have any equipment at this time. This is like the first place we ever went to. So we were just like meandering like the hallways being like, is anything here?
Yeah, like just trying to get something to happen
Right.
on camera. And nothing was happening. And so we're like, fine, I guess let's do this. Let's just like leave. Like it's fun to tell the story. Let's just leave. And so we turn off the camera, start packing up. We start walking towards the door. And as soon as we we're about to like get out of the room, the faucet turns on like full blast for 4 seconds and then turns back off. And we all like actually like, you know, freeze and freak out. 2 of our roommates that were there at the time like just immediately started like crying. We ran in. We were like, okay, how was that actually possible at all? Maybe that's a sign of like it doesn't want to be filmed and it doesn't want us to leave. So maybe let's just not film this and try one more time just for the heck of it. And so that's what we did. But this time it worked. And to like the weirdest extent, we just like put away all of our cameras. We sat in the most serious tone saying like, okay guys, like before this didn't really believe. So like if this is happening, let's have something happen. And so we all sit in the dark together and we start calling out questions. And we're like, okay, like, is there anybody here? And we hear a knock. And so we're like, okay, maybe that's something.
Very faint though. It was like a tap.
Like a tap. And so we're like, okay, let's just run with that. Can you tap more than once? And there was like 3 taps. We're like, okay, this is really weird. Like, can we start asking questions?
And how loud are you saying this? Like, is it possible that someone could have heard you from another room?
That's what we thought. So going, like, we were talking probably like this, but then there was times where we talk like really quiet. And like, we tested everything. But so what we did is we decided, let's ask questions using these taps. So we said, tap once for yes, tap anything more than once for no. We had a yes or no conversation for 35 minutes with something that we cannot explain. Mm-hmm. And we did everything because we were skeptical at this point.
Did you film any of this?
We didn't think so. But apparently, one of our friends, who's like super religious, was like, hey, no matter what, the entire night, he was keeping an audio recording in his pocket.
We had no idea.
We had no idea that he was doing that.
So nobody talked about it. So if there was something there, it didn't know either.
Yeah, we had no idea he had pulled that out. Like, we genuinely were like, okay, no one's filming. We even say in this audio recording, like, no one's filming. This is no bullshit. Like, everyone, please, like, be serious about this. And so we had this conversation back and forth, and we tried to trick it. You know, like, we would ask questions in different manners, like, okay, is there more than one of you? Yes. And then we'd say, are you alone? And it would say no. Back and forth, trying to get this thing. And the story kept straight the entire time. Mm-hmm. And we were like, okay, come on, there could be someone, like, screwing with us. This is, like, on, you know, the news of being, like, haunted place.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Well, what was crazy about it, too, is all the knocks, they weren't just coming from one section. That would make sense if, like, maybe something outside was, like, tapping. These knocks would be like below us and then above us to our sides. Some would be louder than other ones. We went out to the hallway a couple times, and we realized that we were like the last room, besides like this like utility room to our left. And obviously we had like basically that whole like floor to ourselves as well, since it was super late.
Yeah, and then like sometime in the middle, we were like, okay, like let's like ask a question under our breath.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like this thing does not want us to leave. And at that moment, the entire floor shook. Boom. Like we were all like, oh my God, what was that? Was
You
something
could feel the vibration in your feet.
crashing on the ship or something? It was huge. And so we're like, okay, so this thing doesn't want us to leave, and maybe we should just like ask questions under our breath for the rest of the time, just so we know it's not some employee, it's not someone like screwing with us the entire time. So fast forward to the very end, we were like, okay, we've had a bunch of conversations. At this point, we really believe if this is truly something, I want to know something about something deeper than just yes or no questions, or just like something silly of like how many people are here. So I decided, let's ask about religion. And I ask out, is there a heaven? And it knocks 3 times, meaning no. And at that point, our 2 religious friends that were there like immediately jumped up and said, we have to leave right now.
And we had no idea
We're like,
why.
why? What's going on? Like, I'll tell you in the car, like, dude, like, just don't look back. Let's go. Let's leave. And so we walked out. We left. We got all the way to the car without anyone saying anything. And as soon as we got in the car, we're like, what's going on? Like, why do we have to leave? He's like, well, in the Christian religion, anything like demonic or evil is supposed to, like, basically disprove that there is a heaven in order, you know. And so what they were saying is like, we don't think this is some like spirit or something paranormal there. We think it was something that was trying to lead you away from heaven or Christianity.
Demonic territory type thing. But that also just depends on what you believe in. Obviously, like our roommates were very, very Christian, very religious. And so when they heard the knocks saying no, they thought it was just kind of like a sign from like a demon to like steer us away from God, saying like this does not exist. And so they without question ran before we could even, like we kind of were wanting to stay there to ask more things.
It was really interesting
Because
because
this is your first experience with anything paranormal.
well, first very believable one. There has been plenty of times where we hear things or like, you know, things are scary.
in like the abandoned places,
abandoned
but
places.
they're also decrepit old places that
Right.
creak and stuff.
Yeah, old dark places make you freak out.
Exactly. This is
Yeah.
the first conversation, we should say, that we've had.
So, up until that point, did you believe in ghosts before? And like, what is the feeling like when you have to sort of process the end of that day?
So that was a monumental change in not only like our career, but also like our at least my like thought process in life. Because yes, I had the idea that maybe something else is out there. Like I had grown up a Christian, but at that time we'd gone to so many scary places. We'd tackled a bunch of like life questions, philosophical questions throughout our time together, and we were like, okay, like after asking about it, like for me, I was like losing like faith in something else. I was like, okay, maybe we're just the only things out here. And after that moment, I had like a full on like breakdown the next day. Like I was like everything that I had thought was not real now becomes real. And I had like pretty much lost any sort of like faith at that point. But there is even a video of me online, like sitting on my bedroom floor, like crying to camera, saying like, I truly didn't believe. And now this instance opens up this whole world. Like maybe I don't immediately believe 100%, but the question of if there's something else out there is now back in my brain, and I want to chase that. And so after the whole arrest and going to the haunted stuff, that was like, it wasn't necessarily we were like 1,000% believers the second we like had this experience, but it was so intriguing because it was one of those things that we couldn't explain. We told this story so many times, and the audio of this actually happening, the knocks, is online. So many people don't believe it because they weren't there, and we wouldn't believe it if we weren't there. And so we understand that people don't believe us when we talk about these things.
Yeah.
However, just the idea that it could be real and the idea that it could happen again is what's so intriguing and is why we got into it. And we're like, okay, if we can just keep doing this and keep getting more and more proof, like that feeling of hope of like, okay, there is something else out there. And it is not just, okay, we're just going to live and die here on the planet.
Yeah.
It's so special.
No matter what you believe in, no matter what religion you have, it's like we realized that experience for us, it taught us that there is something else. It's more spiritual than anything. And we wanted to spread that message as well to as many people as possible. Again, no matter what they believed in.
But your roommates thought it was demonic.
They took like the Christian route, and that's again, that's up to whoever is viewing this or experiencing it themselves. But yeah, they took it very religiously.
How did you feel? Did you feel like it was a demon, or did you feel like it was a ghost or dead people? What did you think it was?
I don't know. At the time, I definitely thought it was like a demon because these two guys are like yelling at me,
Freaking
saying
out.
like, "Dude, this is 100% without a shadow of a doubt like a demon." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know exactly what I believe in. Like, this is already like rattling my brain right now." But it was scary. And what was scarier is trying to go back into it and repeating the process, because like we didn't know what we were messing with. If it was a demon, like hell, maybe if it is all real, are we just screwing ourselves over by like going in all these
Are
places?
you inviting that thing into your life?
Right.
How many times did you guys go to the Queen Mary?
3, 4 times?
Yeah, 3 or 4 times.
So you went back after that.
We did.
Did you leave the roommates at home?
At that point, yeah.
We did.
Like our final stint, which was actually last year, we hadn't gone back in 3 years, but we wanted to like the Queen Mary actually shut down, which was sad.
Oh, really?
I
When
think
was that?
last year, they lost like funding and whatever.
They might be opening up now.
They're
but, like, it
trying
was
to
shut
like
for a
raise
second.
money and like get it back up, but
Yeah.
so we thought this was the last time we'd ever see the ship. So we're like, let's go say goodbye to the thing that literally started this whole adventure for us. And so Colby and I went back alone
Same
to this
room?
B340.
Same room, alone, like
Did they
repeating.
rent that room out to anybody?
They do now.
But for 30 years they didn't.
For the 30 years,
we
they-
were like the first people to get to it.
That's so
after
crazy.
30 years. But again, that's all alleged as well. Like, who knows if it's like a marketing ploy? And again, we were so skeptical that like Sam and I, when those knocks first started to happen, like we were like looking under things. We were like, this room has to be bugged.
See if you can find anything about that room. So find anything about the Queen Mary
Outside of what they have, okay.
room 340.
Yeah, it's B340.
B340. So they told you that there was multiple murders that took place in that room?
Yeah, if you
Imagine
pull
that
up a
you guys
picture,
were just like an hour away from killing your roommates.
Oh my god!
Literally,
Yeah, like if we
You know?
kept
One
going
more
at
hour.
it,
Just
like
kept asking questions.
he just turns on us. Says goodbye.
It just starts talking to
That's
you.
what the room looks
This
like.
is
That's
the
what
room.
they're-
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
god, it gives me chills.
What does it say on the wall?
So
Is
you
that
can
scripture?
Well, they have
What does it
literally
say?
experiences of each like different family.
Yeah, there's a ton of.
Oh my god! So it's like openly haunted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so anytime someone has like a crazy experience that they deem notable, they'll write it on the wall.
There's
oh,
our
there's our
thumbnail right
thumbnail right
Oh,
there.
it's the Bloody Mary wall.
Yeah, and they have instructions to do Bloody. It's definitely cheesy a little bit. Like they have the Bloody Mary like
Bloody
challenge on it.
Mary. What does that mean?
So Bloody Mary is like this challenge that a lot of people used to do like as like children or whatever. You like go in front of a mirror, turn the light off, have one candle, spin around 3 times while saying Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
Oh, so it's Candyman.
Exactly.
Pretty
Candyman.
much,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's the evolution of Candyman. And so that's like gimmicky, obviously. But there's
That's
a
the
lot of
faucet.
stories all over the.
That's the one that turned on, yeah.
And so this room, is there any documentation that people actually died in that room?
Look at now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm curious because like when we went there, again, like we were very different than where we're at now. Like we didn't do like super extensive research. What we did is we like would. We'd take the article that it says it is, but obviously we're not
Right.
going back and fact checking that. And then we go and talk to the employees. And so most of our stories were all like firsthand encounters with the employees that were there, or things that they would tell us rather than,
And the employees seem to believe it.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Every
for sure.
employee like we've met pretty much at all these haunted places are true believers. Those are the ones that said like they could see stuff following us. So yeah, people that work there like are super into like the paranormal and stuff.
That's
so.
what's fucked, right? Because there's only a handful of those people that are there day in, day out.
Right, right.
Like, and you can dismiss that.
or it's like,
or it might be real.
right, right.
That's the thing. It's just the thing that gnaws at me. It's like it's so easy to dismiss ghosts. Oh, ghosts are bullshit. But the problem is there's so many people that say they've seen it over so many years, literally hundreds and hundreds of years. It makes you wonder, because if there are multiple dimensions, and if life is, if there you are a physical body that's carrying around a soul, like where does that thing go?
yeah, if energy doesn't die,
What-
where does it all
and
go?
what happens if something horrible takes place? Like there's some crazy traumatic moment, gunshots and stab wounds, and like where does that soul go? Is it possible that things get trapped
Right.
in between worlds, and that these people that work in these places, or you guys,
All right.
experience. So.
Exactly.